Hi everyone, this is Veronica. Today we are going to talk about Indian bullfrogs. So we'll discuss in detail what are bullfrogs. Now see, their invasive behavior in Andaman is something to worry about. That is imbalancing the ecosystem of Andaman. So we'll discuss in details how these bullfrogs take to invasive behavior in Andaman. For my video updates, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. This is a channel StudyIQ. If you're preparing for any government exam, our pen drive and tablet courses are also available. For additional information, you can call on these numbers or you can visit our website too. The PDF of this lecture will be available on our website in both the languages, Hindi and English. Now, what is the relevance of this topic in your exams, from your exams point of view, in your mains paper 3, conservation, environment pollution and degradation? Here, this is very important. And then at objective level, you should know the details about Indian bullfrog. Subjective level, what are invasive species? This is very important. Okay, now just to start, let me tell you a little bit about this Indian bullfrog. So its scientific name is Hoplobatrachus tigrinus. I have written that in next slides. And listen about this, the Indus Valley, this is known as Indus Valley bullfrog, or it is known as Indian bullfrog, and popular name is Asian bullfrog also, and it has many names. It is a large species of frog only, and it is found in mainland Myanmar, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan and Nepal. So it has been introduced now in Maldives and Madagascar also, and India's Andaman Islands, where it has now widespread invasive, where it is regarded as invasive species. Now let's jumping back to what are invasive species, because to start the lecture you should know the terminology. So now see what species we call invasive species. It is that species that is not native to a specific location and that has a tendency to spread to a degree believed to cause damage to the environment, human economy and human health. That means if there is an original area, for example Andaman, this species of bullfrog does not belong to this area. It has been introduced here because of one of the other reason. It could be human anthropogenic reasons, or it could be some natural calamity, maybe tsunami or something like that. So now what is the context of today's lecture? Why it is in news? Because Indian bullfrogs which are introduced in Andaman are invasive. Now you understand what are invasive, and they are eating wildlife including fish and lizards. So they are harmful for other wildlife, for example fishes and the lizards. So now talking about what are invasive species, I have already told you. So here what are invasive species? I have already told you these are the species which are not native to specific location. They are an introduced species, and introduction could be through man-made activities, like man is doing that deliberately, or through some natural calamity. Now let's come to Indian bullfrog. This Indian bullfrog, the scientific name is Hoplobatrachus tigrinus. It is native to Indian subcontinent, and it has rapidly invaded Andaman Islands after it was introduced there in the early 2000s. Now in human dominated areas, it now shares space with other native organisms also, for example other frog species. So in Andaman there were already other frog species present, so it is now sharing the space. So sharing the space means it is sharing the food also, it is sharing other things also, because if there is a space and there are 100 frogs, so ecosystem is just like that, it is providing sufficiently for these 100. But now there are other frogs also, Indian bullfrogs, whose reproduction rate is also very high. So these bullfrogs are prolific breeders. That means they have short breeding seasons, and each egg clutch can contain about 5,750 eggs. So this is huge. Their each egg clutch, it contains around 5.7k eggs. So its tadpoles are carnivorous. So this is very important in their species, that their tadpoles are carnivorous in nature. Carnivorous means that they eat the flesh, they are flesh eating animals, and they eat the other tadpoles also, including their own species. So this is where the harm is coming from. because they are eating the tadpoles of other frogs. It's not letting their population to grow. So only its population is growing in size and number, and on the other hand it is eating up the tadpoles of other frogs. So it has invasive nature. So this nature is known as invasive nature. Now there are certain experiments which reveal that the frogs take to the invasive behavior early in their lives. For example, even in the developmental stages, the large bullfrog tadpoles eat other native frog tadpoles. So the survival of both endemic frog tadpoles reduced to zero, obviously, because their tadpoles are being eaten, their population is decreasing. They are decreasing to zero when bullfrog tadpoles were present. So the proportion of bullfrog tadpoles surviving is also very greater in presence in both endemic frog tadpoles. So their reproduction rate and their survival rate is very high, bullfrog tadpoles. So this is worrying because other native frog species, many of which are only being described, could also be affected. So it is severely affecting the native frog species. Now see, here we can see a man-frog conflict. We'll come to it. Now see about this new frog species, Hoplobatrachus tigrinus, that is being migrated. So this bullfrog is found widely in mainland India, and this is also protected under Schedule 4 of Indian Wildlife Act 1972. But here we are watching a man-frog conflict. So this is very unique situation because we don't usually hear, we do hear animal and human conflict in regard with the tigers, leopards, elephant. But how come frog-man conflict is arising? So try to understand this point. This voracious animal, it gulps down anything that would fit its jaws. So this frog is very voracious and it can eat anything which is coming its way, be it centipedes, leeches, native frogs, lizards, small snakes, chicks, ducklings. So these the names I have written here, they are an important source of food for the islanders. So these islanders, their diet depends upon snakes, chicks, ducklings and such kind of animals. So this frog is interrupting in their diet. They are eating up what the people are eating. Ultimately it is also disrupting the food chain. How it is disrupting the food chain, let me explain. For example, you need to see how this frog is a threat to the islanders and the animals on the island. First of all, if we talk about islanders, so obviously I gave you the reason, it is eating their food. Next is bullfrogs are found all over mainland India, but it is the unique ecosystem of islands that is becoming a major threat. Unlike the mainland, what is the situation in islands? The resources are very few. In mainland, obviously everybody can coexist, right? There are a lot of resources also, but in island the resources are very scarce. Even the big animals are scarce, while natural calamities are more frequent. So the wildlife here has evolved in a miniature setting, and there are no large herbivores. The largest in the Andaman is wild pig, or the large carnivores. Now what is happening, if this is the first trophic level, this is the second trophic level, this is the third trophic level. So this is the trophic level, is the level of food chain. For example, here comes the grass, here comes the deer, here comes the lion. So deer is eating grass, lion is eating deer, right? So in case of frog, what has happened, if at some trophic level there is frog, so there is no bigger animal. So Indian bullfrog, there is no other big predator to eat frog. So what this frog is doing, what all organisms are occurring at the trophic level second, right? It is eating them up and increasing its population. So there is no big predator even to attack this frog. So their population is increasing and other population of other species is decreasing. So it is imbalancing the food chain also, disturbing the ecosystem also, and hampering with the lives of the islanders also. So we can see there is a man-frog conflict regarding this. I hope this is clear to you now. So one more thing is there, the focus on invasive species. Now globally, invasive species, particularly in islands, are becoming focus of numerous organizations. For example, the Convention of Biological Diversity has said that invasives have contributed to 40% of all animal extinctions since the 17th century. So this is something huge. And now IUCN, you need to tell me the full form of IUCN. It has formulated guidelines for managing invasive specifically in the islands. So here, what is a way forward we can talk about? It is that we need to collect a proper data collection should be there, community engagement should be there, policy measures should be there, and management plans should be worked upon to mitigate such problems. So now you can tell me in comment box how this can be stopped and what do you think of this situation man-frog conflict. So this is all about today's lecture. If you have any queries, you can contact me on email, Instagram, Facebook. Thank you.